Welcome to another honor crafting video. In this video I'm going to be altering a tank top that my daughter brought from a thrift store, and she has this black tank top that fits her just right, but the gray one is the one that she recently bought and it's too big. I'm not sure what size it is really. It could be a large, and she wears a small right there. And when altering something like this, I mean I'm not a professional sewer, so I just kind of make it up as I go. So what I'm doing here is I try to lay it out as flat as I can, so I can figure out, where to cut, how much to cut away from the gray tank top. I've got a marker here that's a sort of a heat marker. It will fade away when something is ironed, or if you put it in the wash, the ink will just fade away. So I like these because you can really mark the fabric, and it's easier to see than chalk, and so I tend to use these quite a bit. So you can see I'm pinning down the gray tank top in the bottom so that they don't shift while I'm marking them. And actually these pins probably need to replace these pins, because I use them when I'm making cosplays, and sometimes some glue will get into those pins and they actually make it so that they're harder to go through fabric. Okay, so here I'm marking off the gray tank top. I'm probably leaving about a ½ inch seam allowance. I'm just going down the side and trying to just, mark it up. It's not an exact thing because it's a stretchy material anyway, and a lot of the imperfections will just kind of be hidden away. As I was marking this up, I realized the tricky part was going to be the lace. There's lace in the bottom of the tank top and lace at the top, and I wasn't really sure how am I going to actually cut these and how am I going to sew them, because there's a pattern on this lace, and then sewing them becomes problematic as well, because I'm going to be using a serger when I sew this, and it's going to make it kind of bulky where it's sewn because of the serger, and it's probably not going to look right if I also sew this lace with the serger. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be sewing through the serger. I mean through the lace. I'm not going to sew through the lace. I'm just probably going to leave it open. Here I'm looking at the lace, trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to cut this and in what shape. I think what I ended up doing was I just took a sort of a curve. I try to curve down the lace into where the actual bodice starts. So I'm just kind of eyeing it, and I'm going to cut in a rounded shape. Alright, here we go. And I'm going to pin it some more on the inside, so it's pinned on both sides of where I'm going to be cutting, so that way it doesn't shift when I'm cutting. Yeah, again, these pins are horrible. I should probably throw them away. They've got glue on them, and so they get stuck as I'm trying to get them through the fabric. Now comes the really scary part, because this is one of those things that you can't undo. So once I start cutting, it's pretty much done. So I get a little bit nervous when I'm doing this part. As I'm cutting along the line, not complicated. I do have to stand up for this. It's easier to cut while standing up. I'm taking it pretty slow. And the lace also at the top has some beading on it, so I'm trying to avoid having to cut through those things. But you can see I'm just rounding off the lace part, so it kind of looks like it's meant to be like that. Cutting the other side. Oh, I forgot to mention, and it's probably pretty obvious, I have this shirt inside out. The tank top is inside out. The same thing for the black tank top that I'm using as the template. They're both inside out. There we go. Now I've moved on to the serger. I don't really use the serger too much. I tend to just have the black thread on the serger because it's a pain to replace the thread, and every time you have to replace a thread, you have to go this whole process, and it's definitely a pain. What I'm actually serging here is not the tank top yet, it's the cutoffs, because I want to try out and make sure that the settings in the serger is right. So I'm doing a test run essentially to try to see if it's going to be good settings. There we go. And I'm stretching it a little bit, kind of pulling it on both directions, up and down, and then to the sides too. Make sure that it's still flexible and it has some give, and it seems to be okay. So I decided I'll just keep this setting, whatever it was set to before. And the serger, has a default setting, or everything is set at 4. The tension set at 4 for all of the threads. The serger also has a cutter, and I have that disabled, so it's not going to be cutting as I'm sewing. I sometimes will use the cutter, but not too often. There we go. Gonna sew it now. I usually start off pretty slow, and then as I get comfortable with it, then I'll speed up a little bit. Actually, it looks like I'm going really slow on this. I'm not really sure why, but even extra slow. And so I mentioned that I wasn't sure how I was going to actually sew the lace part here, and so I decided, you can see here, I'm not going to sew through the lace. I'm gonna just sew up to the fabric, and then I just avoid sewing through the lace. So essentially it's going to be open. There's going to be a slit on the side, but it's not really too noticeable, and I think it's better to have that slit than to actually have the bulky serger, the sewing through it. It's just not going to look right. Alright, now I'm going to do the other side. And on this side, I'm starting from the bottom up. I shouldn't know if that's a thing, but I find it's easier because if I try to, I don't know, I never actually thought about it. I don't know why I'm going from the bottom up and this direction. I could have flipped the shirt over, and then I could have also been sewing from the top down. I don't know. I have to remember next time I do this why I chose to do the bottom up. Alright. That's finished up. But I think, if I recall, when I was checking it, it looked like some of the fabric actually wasn't sewn all the way through, so I'm gonna do a little bit more. I'm gonna pass it through a little bit more on the bottom. Yeah, so where I started, I'm gonna sew it up a little bit more. And I'm just taking off all the pins. I guess I should have moved the camera so you can see. There's nothing interesting here, just taking off the pins. And I remember I forgot one when I turned it inside out. Yep, there's one. There's still one pin. Pretty straightforward. You can see it's up close. There's the top part of the lace and then the bottom. And you can see here I didn't sew through the lace, just kind of left it open. And there's what the serged piece. There we go. Not too complicated. Thanks for watching.